Today, we are going to be talking about skill trees, a unique feature that this tower defense game offers, which pretty much just has a skill tree for every single unit, which you can access by just going to the menu and hovering over to the skill tree. So there is this tree where you can access a whole bunch of buffs for your unit to increase its power furthermore. And as you guys can see, essentially, the only thing required is just a maximum amount of kills achieved with a certain unit to unlock all of these categories. Now, the tree has a lot of options, but what's bad about it is that you can actually go only once at it. You cannot reset it or whatever. So, for example, if you want to change your mind about something, you literally just have to get a duplicate unit. As you can see, for example, right here, I have two Curse Kings, and there is essentially two main builds that you can go for by following the tree. And that is going to depend based on your unit. Now, how to get the kills? Very easy. Go in an infinite mode, an easy infinite mode, and only drop that particular unit. If it's a ground unit, make sure you place some air units far in the back so they don't attack any of the ground units, only kill air, so you're pretty safe, and just literally AFK. That simple, not much else needed to be done. What the hell is that thing down there? Huh? I didn't see that. That's interactable, whatever it was. I have no clue. Anyway, back to our topic. So, I'm gonna use Dark Captain for this one because I haven't done anything. I have a lot of kills, as you can see. I have 19,000. So, the first thing that you want to see, is your unit an elemental unit or is he a normal unit? Now, I don't know what this happens. Like, the screen orientation is kind of shit for me. But this guy is just a physical unit. It's not an elemental unit. What is an elemental unit? A unit that bleeds, a unit that does fire damage, potentially in the future, light, ice, whatever, you get the point. That's elemental damage. So, knowing that this guy is physical, we just need to go for physical damage. So, first things first, row number 1. Options: 4% damage empowerment, 2% minus 2 SPA, 2.5 range, and 50% money. I feel like this is absolute shit, and they either they need to probably change this to cost, because as you probably might have noticed, the money units don't actually have access to skill tree because they don't contribute to any kills. So what's the point of having plus 50% money unless they add some sort of a damage unit that adds money, some sort of Nami, what it is in Anime Adventures, or rather what it was. But yeah, anyway, on top of that, you have to keep in mind, guys, that there is something that's very important. The nodes are connected, which means that if I start here with this 4% damage, I can't go for this 50% elemental damage, right? So I would have to start off this, which obviously probably not worth. So here we're most likely just going with 4% damage, but in this case, since we don't have elemental damage in our unit, we are gonna go with minus 2 SPA. We don't really care about the range too much, so we're gonna go with speedy here, and this will unlock us the crit damage empowered crit. Now, luckily for us, it's a middle node, so we can literally just go whichever way we want, and you have plus 5% range, minus 4 SPA, plus 6% range, but then you have to look at this category, right? The next one. So you can kind of decide where you want to go. This is 10% damage, 10% range. This is plus 5% damage, 10% range, minus 5 SPA, and this is 10% total cost off and 5% damage. Now, from this onward, we have those two choices, and at first sight, they seem kind of weird. You see, if you look at that, right? So you see 5% crit chance only, while this is 50% crit. So you would make the argument that you kind of want to go this route on the right side. But what happens is if you follow the route up, you're going to notice that if you go with this, the 50% crit, you either go range or 50% damage. 50% damage is cool. But then you're going to be stuck at the top nodes with either Elementalist here with a matchup master, which is completely useless for us, or with Elemental Penetration and Devastation Mastery. Now, apparently Elemental Penetration, the way I understood it at least, has something to do with the elements that each unit has, which will play a part later on. For example, I think this guy has a red element or something. I don't know, you can see it at the top, basically, when you are inside the game. You can't really see it right here, but I don't exactly know if that's the case. But nonetheless, I think for this guy, we're just gonna go with the other option on the far left side, which is 40% crit damage, 15% crit, and 20% range, and 40% extra crit damage. So we kind of need to lean towards the left side of the tree, directional wise. So You have to go 5% range minus 4 SPA. I pretty much prefer SPA instead of range. I think that's a lot better. And then you have the chance for 10% range or 5% damage minus 5 SPA. Honestly, I think this is better. 5 SPA instead of 5% damage. So I would go with that. And then we go obviously with 5% crit. And then you have the chance again to go for minus SPA or 15% damage. Personally, I think that SPA is better. That's my personal opinion. Now, this unit has extremely low SPA to begin with. It starts at 2 seconds. Later on, it goes to about 5, I believe. So that's why I said you have to watch out at what unit you're going with, right? So we're going to go with damage just for this one. And then obviously we're going to cap off with empowered crit. And once I get the rest of the kills, we're going with Bullseye Master. That should be more or less your standard build path for physical units that don't have elemental damage, such as this guy or such as side armor, for example. Gon, I'm not sure if he's elemental. I don't think he's elemental damage. I think he's just a hybrid unit. Yamamoto now, on the other hand, or Itachi, which are 2 other units. Those are both elemental units. They are fire units, obviously, and the same thing for Sukuna. Sukuna is a bleed unit. So if we were to go, for example, on Sukuna's skill tree, what you want to be doing here is you actually want to be going all the way around. Now, I'm not sure whether what I did here was correct myself, because I went for the elemental penetration, which I think is actually pretty good. So 4% damage into penetration, and then minus 4 SPA, obviously. And then here's what I said, right? So if we look in this side for the 10% damage, we are stuck with the left side. In this particular case, since we are going to be going for this one, I don't think this one is good, and I'll explain why in a little bit. We can go from both sides. We can go from this one and from this side. But I chose this one just so that I can go with a 15% crit chance. And then I'm going with 15% damage instead of the SPA. And then with elemental damage, elemental penetration. Now, these two are pretty similar. My opinion is that the left side tree is better, and I'll explain you why. So, for this one, we have 35% elemental damage and 50%, that is 85% elemental damage. 25% penetration and 15% damage, right? So 85 damage against Ali, 25 pen, 50% flat damage, right? That's your attack damage, your attack before the dot kicks in. This side, we have 15% elemental penetration, so it's 10% less penetration. And then we have some more range, which is not that big of a deal, to be honest, especially if you're using Star Idol. 10% SPA is pretty good, and 10% damage more. So essentially, you're only gaining minus 10% SPA and 10% damage, and you are missing so much penetration. You're missing 25% elemental penetration and 85% elemental damage. Now, for bleed units and fire units, I think that is the way to go. I think that's the skill tree, what's going to look like. But yeah, as I said, you have to look at the unit, right? Some units, SPA is really valuable. Some other units, it's really not that valuable. For example, right? Let's say that you have a unit like Adol Gon. I'm pretty sure that some of you guys have seen Adol Gon, whether it is showcase or you actually got him. Gon has an atrociously high amount of attack speed. I think its SPA is 10 at max upgrade. So obviously having 20% SPA reduction on Gon as shoves of 2 seconds. Whilst having 20% SPA reduction on Yami, which is a 2-second unit on his base form. Okay, well, let's even say 5 seconds. It shows down in 1 second, right? So that's something that you have to consider. But yeah, the point is that essentially those two builds just split up like that, physical / elemental. My opinion is that this thing is not worth Devastation Mastery. I think this one is better than Devastation Mastery, and obviously your build is gonna look just like that for your physical build. And yeah, with some very minor adjustments depending on the unit along the tree. But yeah, just bear in mind that you have to look at the top of the tree before you decide how you approach the bottom one. That's the point takeaway. Hopefully this didn't really confuse you even more, because I spoke a lot. Okay, it's actually 9:30 already of blah blah. So hopefully this helped you more than it harmed you. That's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, if you have any questions about specific units or whatever, feel free to drop down a comment. I will gladly help you out. And yeah, that's it. Bye.